Hello everyone. Today we will discuss once again the important concepts from Indian Constitution, that is fundamental rights, fundamental duties and directive principles of state policies. First we'll begin with fundamental rights. So in these fundamental rights we will discuss the definition of fundamental rights. What are the characteristics of these fundamental rights and how these are classified in our constitution. With a quick discussion, we'll take a look over all these concepts. First one, coming to the definition, the fundamental rights are the basic rights given to the citizen by the constitution of our country, which are very essential for man to lead a decent and responsible life. Dear students, the fundamental rights are guaranteed by the constitution of country. They cannot be taken away unless the constitution is amended. But sometimes what happened in the case of emergencies, the ordinary rights can be taken away by the government as and when required. Coming to the characteristics of fundamental rights, the first very important character is these are integral part of our constitution. Without fundamental rights, we cannot imagine our constitution. And second one, these are universal in nature. Wherever you go across our country, these fundamental rights will not change. And third one, these are available to all the citizens of India. These fundamental rights are not distributed in the manner of community or religious views or religious perspectives. These are available to all the citizens of India. And fourth one, these are justiciable. If anything problems you are facing to getting in the fundamental rights, definitely you can put a case or in jurisdiction. And last one, amendable but cannot be abrogated. These fundamental rights can do some modifications in that rights but cannot abrogate it. Means we cannot remove these fundamental rights from our constitution. Next very important discussion is there are 6 fundamental rights in our constitutions. Okay, the fundamental rights are classified in the 6 different parts. The first one, right to equality. The right to equality is there in the article 14 to 18. And the second one, the right of freedom, which is there in the article 19 to 22. And third very important classification is the right against exploitation, which is mentioned in the article 23 and 24. Fourth one, the right of freedom of religious, which is there in article 25 to 28. A fifth one, cultural and educational rights, which are there in the articles 29 and 30 of our constitution. And finally, the right to constitutional remedies, which is mentioned from article number 32 to 45. This is a brief classification of 6 fundamental rights. Next very important concept is fundamental duties of Indian citizens. Very important. Our constitution has included the fundamental duties in part 4 section A with article 51A for the citizens by 42nd Constitution Amendment Act 1976. As I told in the previous discussions, when the constitution was formed, at that time these fundamental duties were not there in our constitution. Later in the year 1976, with the 42nd amendment, we introduced these fundamental duties to all the citizens of our country. What are the fundamental duties? So one by one we will discuss. The first very important fundamental duty is to respect the institutions, national flags and national anthem. And second very important fundamental duty is we must cherish and follow the nobles of ideals which is inspired to our national struggle for the freedom. And third one, every Indian must uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of a country. Fourth important fundamental duty is every Indian is expected to defend the country and render the national service whenever called upon to do so. In the case of emergency, each and every personality of our country have to get ready to serve the nation. Fifth one, every Indian citizen promotes the harmony and spirit of the common brotherhood among all the sections of the people of India. And sixth, to value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture, we have to respect the composite culture, and we have to serve. Seventh one, to protect and improve the natural environment like forest, lakes, rivers, and wildlife. Definitely, dear students, these all are the fundamental need for ourselves. So that's why each and every moment of our life we have to protect, like integral part we can say of our life, forest, lakes, rivers, and wildlife. Eighth fundamental duty is to develop the scientific temper, humanism, and spirit of inquiry, to reform and to maintain a well mannered need of socialism. And ninth one, to safeguard the public property and to avoid the violence. And last fundamental duty is to strive towards the excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activity. Last topic of today's discussion is directive principles of state policy. What is meant by directive principles of state policy means these policies help these directive principles will help formulating the policies and passing the laws for in state government as well as central government. And these principles were embodied in part 4 of our constitutions with article 6. There are 16 articles in the directive principles from 36 to 51. And in the previous discussions, as I told, these directive principles we borrowed from the Irish constitution. We borrowed these directive principles from Irish constitutions. But one thing I would like to tell in this discussion, these are not compulsory to implement in the central government as well as state government. Depending on the need, the state government or central government, they can implement the directive principles. What are the characteristics of these directive principles means? The first one, these are ideals to be implemented by the government and to establish the social and economic democracy. Definitely these directive principles will help. And third important characteristics, these are the bedrock of welfare state we can call here. Definitely the noble intentions are there in these directive principles. So that's why we can call here bedrocks of welfare state. And fourth important characteristics, these have to be implemented in the state-wise, not suddenly. As I told, state-wise, if you need, you can implement. Otherwise, we cannot implement these directive principles. And very important, last one, they are not legal enforceable in the court of law. If the state is not implementing these directive principles means we cannot go through the jurisdictory actions on these directive principles. In the next video, we will discuss the parliamentary system of governments. Thank you.